Hi, everybody. This week we're going to talk about what journalists define as news. It's really important for you as a public relations person because you are trying to get them to get your interests into print or on TV, on the radio. And a lot of times there's things that we want the public to know, and yet they might not get the chance because the gatekeepers don't see it as news, or it doesn't stand out amongst the rest. So we got to really know what is news. So first of all, your media placement efforts will be more successful if you understand what the definition of news is for the journalists themselves. And these 5 things are what you need to look for when you're thinking about news. What will make them interested? First of all, there's consequence, then interest, timeliness, proximity, and prominence. Let's talk about each one. Consequence. Now, news value is often judged by what the public will pay for. I'm sure that you are aware of how the media is set up and that it is a business and industry, and they are interested in what the public wants and what is valuable to them. Is this information that you are creating for your client or employer, is it something that the public would pay to know? It would sell newspapers. It would sell magazines. Like something that would be really interesting to them enough to spend money to see it or hear about it. Does it have value to the public? That is the question. Now, I apologize, my PowerPoint is not as big as my Screencast-O-Matic screen. So let's try to fix that momentarily. We'll figure it out, or we'll just keep adjusting. Okay. So the next thing you need to know is this information considered unusual or entertaining? Or does it have human interest? Now, these are all different things. Like, first of all, unusual, like something really crazy happened, something unexpected happened. Right now, the unexpected thing could be weather. Like, it was 75 degrees yesterday in some places, and today there's a snowstorm. And that's weather-related news story. So all the news is on the weather. Entertaining, like, say, when a star does something crazy at the Super Bowl, or something really funny happens, those entertaining stories, or a human interest. When it comes to human interest, it's something that like warms the heart or motivates you to do something differently, or something that the public might need. This morning on the news, I heard a news story about RSV and how it may look like a common cold, but it's very dangerous for infants. And that was a really good news story of interest to me as a mom and all the other moms out there that have babies with runny noses and issues. So those are some of the main things. This picture here is about a lawsuit against Trump University, which the lawsuit did not go very well for Trump University, and that's pretty amazing, being that Donald Trump won the presidency. So it becomes not only, it's unusual, it's something very unusual. So that's something that was in the news. All right. So the next thing is timeliness. This is very important. It would not make sense for me to publish a story today about the Women's March that happened, I guess it's now been 2 or 3 weeks. because it's not timely. And timeliness is even more important today because we have a 24-hour news cycle, and we also have Twitter and Facebook Live. We can get news as it's happening. So timeliness, very important. And each newspaper wants to be the first to break a story, so they want to get it out there before the others. That may be why you see sometimes they're putting news out before they have all the information. It's something that really gets on my nerves. But basically they'll stand there and say, okay, we have nothing to say right now, but we know something's happening, but we haven't heard what's happening. That really drives me insane. But anyway, they do it all the time. So, timeliness. Your material for your client, is it timely? Is it current material? Or if it is on an old story, say I mentioned the Women's March, right? Is there a new angle on it? So what would be timely about the Women's March, which happened 3 weeks ago? Well, maybe if you have a local person who is involved in the continuing efforts that started during the Women's March, or has organized people in her community to do something. Things like that. So something that is currently happening, even if it's related to that older story. So the next one is proximity. Can you come up with a local angle on a national story? It's one thing to have a story about the impact of war, but even more effective to have a story about the VA in Camp Hill and how they are serving veterans in our area. Okay, so that makes it local. Anything national that you can bring to the local level. I'm remembering one public relations news story that we had at Central Penn. It was 4 years ago. There was a massive earthquake in Haiti, and the very destructive, and everybody was really sad about it. Wyclef Jean was on television with the music, all the musicians coming together trying to raise money. This was an international story. This is a totally different country, and yet they're reaching out to us to help them. And the local angle we had is that students at Central Penn College started putting together kits to send to people in Haiti. And we put in like picks and toothbrushes and toothpaste and deodorant and baby wipes, like stuff that people need every day, toiletries and things, and put those kits together. And while we put those kits together, the public relations director at the time sent a press release to the local media, and they found that to have proximity and be timely. They found it to be newsworthy, and they came and they took video of our students putting these kits together. And this was a great public relations moment because it showed the community that our students had interests, that they did community service, that they cared about people in other parts of the world, and were knowledgeable as well. It showed a lot of good, positive things. So that's just one example of localizing a national or international story. So the next thing is prominence. Okay, that's when you have either a really big national event or a really big famous person, right? An important cause, or some world leaders. All of those those four things are prominence, and they always make news. If the president, I think I told you this in my rant about Sean Spicer, the president holds a press conference, it is news. You have to cover it. There's no like ignoring that because he has prominence. Beyonce announces she's having twins. The world goes insane. Yes, it becomes news because she is so famous that she has prominence. So if you are the public relations person and you're trying to get something done, you're trying to get attention to, say, a new product, then, and I'm not talking the advertising person, but the PR person. What if, let's say you sell yogurt. What if, sorry, I'm thinking things on the fly. But what if somehow you could just catch a picture of a famous person, a rock star, maybe Beyonce, eating your yogurt? You just happen to see her eating yogurt, got that picture, and tweet it. There you go. Prominence. So there's different ways of doing things, but if you can get a famous person, let's say you make an event to introduce a new product, and your main speaker about the product happens to be, I don't know, Robert De Niro, famous actor. Well, there you go. Now you've got prominence involved with your product. So prominence always makes news. It's not easy to get famous people to do things that you want. They do usually get paid quite a bit of money. So it just depends on your company and what you can do. But another great thing is, let's say your organization is doing some charitable work that they could get attention for. Like even being present in a protest or being having some kind of rally to increase awareness about, say, a disease or something. Like all of this, if you could get a famous person there to talk about that, or just to be there and hold a sign up, something, and get a picture of that, then you have drawn attention and got you have the news coverage because that famous person's there. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so the next thing you need to know about is hard news versus soft news. Hard news is the type of news that you really need. It impacts your immediate life. It's some big news story, like say there is a major institution that is on fire or falling down. There's a terrorist attack. There is something going on in politics. Those are hard news stories. Soft news stories are the stories that warm your heart, such as a fireman getting a kitten from a tree. That's very sweet. Those are kind of PR stories sometimes, or just kind of fluff. But you need to know the difference when you're writing to get placement in the news media. So let me know if you have any questions about this. Understanding how journalists see what news is almost as important to building relations with them as understanding what their job is like. So after you view this lesson, go through the materials and resources folder, because there are some little videos there which journalists telling you what their job is like, and that's really important. Thanks a lot for listening, and I look forward to hearing from you in the near future.